I'm your show host, Luptia Fernandez. So the point of being Millennials is to find people who are doing inspiring things. Well, today we have an inspiring writer. You want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Lupita. Yes, my name is Giancarlo. I am a writer out of Oak Cliff, Texas, but really more I'm a creator. I just feel that the more creative lifestyle you live, the easier it is for you to create when you have to. And what I mean by that, I mean, I like to cook. I like to speak at any time possible, like now. I like to write. So it's just different type of ways that I express myself creatively to where I'm able to just continue to live that type of lifestyle on a day-to-day basis.
So what do you mean by that type of lifestyle? Like a creative lifestyle, or?
Yeah, definitely. You want to, just like boxers train every day, athletes go to the gym on a daily basis, you want to work out your creative side. And you don't always want to necessarily do it with the way that you always do it, just like any other athlete. They want to switch up the routine. So that's kind of why I try to, challenge myself when it comes to cooking, challenge myself when it comes to speaking, and just challenge myself on different levels instead of just writing.
Okay, so are you working on anything right now?
I actually am in writing mode right now. And what I mean by writing mode, basically is I keep a small notebook with me, and throughout the day I'm just trying to create these storylines in my head. And right now what I'm actually working on is the series that I've been having in my head for quite a while. I've been having it for maybe 7-8 years, but I just never felt like I was just never confident in actually being able to write it.
Okay.
But now over the years that I've written different types of scripts, I've written short stories, I put together a book, and I've just read throughout that whole time, and I've done a lot of other types of creative things, and I just live life as well. I just feel that I'm at that point where I can start, creating that world.
So right now you say you're in writing mode, but then you also say you like to speak, and then what else, cook and do all these other things?
I just like to challenge myself.
Challenge yourself?
I like to just be creative with anything possible. I try to take a creative approach to everything. Well, when it comes to speaking, I want to be able to put myself out there, get myself out of my comfort zone, and be able to speak, work on my articulation. Because I learned one thing is I had recently bought the Apple Watch, and I've never had anything like that. And I was doing the diction where you speak into it, and it made me realize how bad my pronunciation is. So I just felt, it needs to get better, but what better way for it to get better than, actually, speaking, doing interviews, doing a podcast, in any type of way possible.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about getting out of your comfort zone? Because a lot of people, they don't want to start things because they're scared or they think they're going to fail. What else? There's just it's that voice in the back of your head. It's like, you can't do it. What kind of advice do you have for getting out of that?
Well, the way I would look at it is you always want to tell yourself that the best things in life are after your fears. The way I try to get myself out of my comfort zone, I just try to do things that I usually would never think about doing, or just something that really scares me, something that really fills me up with fear. One of the things that I like to do is I like to go cliff diving. So when I traveled to Hawaii and when I traveled to Puerto Rico, my younger brother and I, we just found like a really high cliff and we jumped off of it. And it wasn't up until that point that I realized that this is the first time I've really been scared in a long time. Because you think you're scared, but you're really not scared of stuff. There's just some stuff that might alarm you. There's some stuff that might, give you the chills. But when you really feel fear, that's a whole different feeling. When you're fearing for your life, basically, where it's a life and death situation. So once we're up there, on that high cliff, the questions I always get is like, well, what happens if this? Or what if this? Or what if there's this? And you don't know. You don't know the definite answer. And that's the whole point of being scared. It's just taking that risk, jumping off there, and just having a really good story to have.
A really good story. So that's what your whole basis is around, just, I guess, having a good story.
Well, just living a good life. Living a life worth writing about, at least for me, since I'm a writer. I don't feel I'd be able to create these type of stories if I was just locked in a room. Over time, my stories have gone from one type of story to just a little bit of everything, but that correlates to my life because I've lived, a big life since then. I've gone a lot of places, I've seen a lot of things, I've read more things. Times change, and I've just managed to kind of keep myself out there and by myself as well. Like I'm not out there with other people or in a couple, it's just me. So you learn a lot about yourself when you're just by yourself, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with that because a lot of people, they don't know who they are because they are just always with a friend or they're always with a partner, so they don't really know themselves. And I think that's really important, especially if you're trying to be creative. Like you have to know what you like. It's just, you just have to know it. If you don't know yourself, then how are you gonna put that in your work?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So when we get back, we're gonna go to a commercial break, and then we'll discuss a little bit more about what he's working on, and then at the end we're gonna play a little game. So we'll see you in a little bit.
Most people don't plan their financial future because it's complicated. There's so much out there, and I'm here to help you be able to navigate through that and find out exactly what's going to fit right for you. Hi, my name is Sarah Markopoulos. I'm an agent with New York Life, and I office out of Frisco, Texas. When I was a little girl, my father was a life insurance agent out of our hometown where I was born. He was a servant of the people, and I wanted to be that myself and give that to others. I knew New York Life would be the one that could help me do that. It's my clients. Each and every single one of them are different. So I help them not only enjoy the fruits of their labor, but also they'll be able to be secure in their financial future. Because either way, a choice will be made for you, whether you make one for yourself independently or life makes that choice for you. At the end of the day, you'll know you'll be okay. I came to New York Life because I love New York Life. I know what New York Life can provide for you, and I want to be able to be the one to bring that to you.
Millennials. So we left off on talking about taking risks, and I want you to tell people, I guess, how to get started, or I guess kind of taking that leap of faith to do what they're passionate about.
I guess my biggest advice is just to really just start doing it. For a long time, I was a big reader. I would read avidly. I would probably get through like a book in maybe like 2 to 3 days. And that would be like on average. And it wasn't until really my best friend was my compadre. He just asked me one day, like, why don't you write your own book? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until he asked me that it really, that question really resonated with me. And then I really, sat around and started asking myself, why don't I write my own book? Mm-hmm. And I did that for years. I just asked myself that question time after time. And it wasn't until I was actually working in a warehouse where I was talking to a film agent. And we were just going back and forth discussing different types of movies. And he was very impressed with my knowledge on film. Mm-hmm. So he asked me, well, why don't you just write a movie? And for some reason at that time, it was just more interesting for me to write a movie than it was to write a book. Mm-hmm. So I was able to kind of get, somewhat of an idea for a script together. Okay. So, I mean, it took me a while, I'm not going to lie, and I do wish that I would have started a lot sooner. But, I mean, better late than never. But at the same time, you still want to give yourself the biggest advantage as possible. And that is really trying to put time on your side. If you can put time on your side, then you'd be able to do a lot of things that you would normally not be able to do if you kind of wait a little bit too long.
That's true. I like what you said, it's like better late than never, but I also think that it's never too late to start. Because like there's always people who like have that in their head, like I'm too old to do what I want to do. And I don't think that's true. Like you can still do what you want to do, just do it. So can you talk a little bit about how your maybe childhood or your upbringing has influenced your writing?
Well, a lot of what I write and what I've always told people is you want to write what you know. So a lot of what I write is very Oak Cliff oriented. I hate the term hood, but it's just when you're raised the way, when you're raised in with the area and environment that we're raised in and you write what you know, that's what you're going to know. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day. So I try to put a lot of that type of energy into my writing because just like the way a story is, it has its ups and downs, that's just the way life is. And I mean, life is probably the best teacher when it comes to anything. So that's why I just feel everything that's happened, I won't say since I was born, but the big events that I remember, I just kind of try to some way, somehow put them into my writing, whether it's them directly or indirectly, or just, like I said, that type of emotion and that type of feeling. So I just feel that when you're raised specifically somewhere and you try to I guess get that energy that you feel, you're gonna create something that's unique to you. It's inevitable. Like when you're not trying to copy anyone else, you're just a little bit more unique just for that reason.
And I think that ties back to what I said earlier about knowing yourself, because if you don't know yourself, then how can you create what you want? So I really want to emphasize getting to know yourself. And if you need to just, get away from people and go into like hermit mode, then that's what you need to do, to just really figure yourself out. Because I think a lot of people struggle with trying to find themselves. That's why a lot of people struggle too, because they don't know, how to start. And that's another thing, getting started. And I know it's overwhelming trying to start like your passion, but just do it day by day, and every day write something down that you want to do and just work on that, which is kind of what you were saying, right? Like it's a long process. It doesn't just start overnight.
Yeah, when I get in writing mode, I don't just sit down and write a book or write a script in just one day or 1 week. It takes time. I have to create the world that I'm going to write about. And before I create it, I got to know it. I got to really know how that world functions, who are my characters, like not just who they are in the sense of what their names are, but who they are, like what they do, what they want to do, what they wish they can do, what they don't want to do, what their relations are with each other. And like I think about this all day, every day. And when I have something that just kind of clicks or just kind of like hits, I just write it down. And I just write it down. Then after I write down, a good amount of things, and I have like the outline in my head on how I want to do somewhat of the story, then I'll sit down, then I'll start actually writing an outline by freehand. And that's pretty much, the process.
So, okay, let's start with the process. How does it start?
Just thinking of ideas.
Okay.
Just trying to think of ideas out. For example, for this, what I'm doing right now, the serialized, the series that I'm writing on, it's something that I've had in my head for a long time. So I kind of had an idea for it already, but what's changed as well is that over time, I've had other ideas that I wanted to write about, and instead of writing those things out individually, I'm putting them all in one world. And what I don't like to do, I don't like to force anything. So what I did the first few days, I just thought about all those worlds together. I just asked myself, like, do these worlds even make sense together? Like, do they, because at that point I have to bring them together as well. Like they have to make sense individually and they have to make sense together. And I just have to think about that, for a long time, because I'm not going to force myself to write it if I don't feel it. So once I feel like, okay, it can be a cohesive piece of work if I, make these type of adjustments, but it's possible. Once I felt that it was possible, then I'm like, okay, let me start trying to write this now.
Yeah, everything's possible, people at home. You can do it. So I guess I'm really curious about how you develop your characters, and I'm also curious about what you're writing right now. So if you could talk about what you're into right now.
Well, I mean, right now, as far as, when it comes to characters, everyone builds their characters differently. Me personally, it just depends on the story. Like, for instance, what I'm writing right now, it's a show pretty much, but it's a serialized show, and it's gonna be called Illegal Entrepreneur. And pretty much what it is, it's just gonna be different characters that are just in the hustle, and that's any type of hustle. And I have so the way it started out, it had 2 characters, and then it went from these 2 characters to having 3 different set of stories, and those 3 different set of stories, those are the ones that I put together. So I have some that are going to be mainly within, like, I guess the streets or the hood, kind of in that aspect. Then I have some that are musicians. They're going to be in the studio. And then I have the other ones that are backyard brawlers, and they're going to just be doing their own thing. But they all know each other. From what I know so far, they know each other, and they're going to all somehow kind of, they're going to know each other, and their storylines are going to intertwine with one another. I just don't know how yet. I know they are, and I know it's possible. I just don't know how.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I want to read it already. So when is that released? You don't know yet?
Well, I mean, I really don't have a release date in the sense of putting it out there. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to write it right now. because the overall goal is I want to make money off what I'm writing. So the overall goal is to have these finished products in my portfolio. So when I'm put in front of the right person, once they see, oh, he has a book, or let me see, he has a script, does he have more stuff? And I can say, yes, I have a lot more. I don't want to be, caught with my pants down or just caught like a deer in the headlights when they're like, hey, well, what else do you have? And I'm having to create things on the spot. So that's what I mean when I say, you want to live a creative lifestyle, because, I have just random ideas that I think about that expand to full stories, some that stay short stories, and some that just kind of help other stories develop. But none of that would be possible if I didn't start anything, if I didn't write anything. So That's kind of what I mean by living that type of lifestyle. You always want to be ready. You don't want to have to get ready.
I like what you said, like about how it like makes you money, or you want it to make you money, because you can make money off of what you're passionate about, like whatever it is, if it's creativity or just whatever you're interested in. Because I think a lot of people get discouraged because they think that what they want to get into, like something creative, they're not going to make money off of it. And that is true. In the beginning, you don't make money. You have to hustle a lot. And then you start building like your clients or whoever, like whatever industry you're in, it takes time. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't just come overnight. So, if you're passionate about something, you can make money off of it because you're passionate about it. So nothing's going to stop you from continuing that journey. And so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about your manuscript, and then we'll get into a little game. So we'll be back.
Welcome to WOAW Media. I am Katrina Loco, the CEO. I want to tell you about something exciting that's happening here in our studio, in our office. We are hosting workshops, and not just any workshops. If you are an existing business ready to take your business to the next level, we are the one-stop shop. I'm telling you, we got some surprises for you. We've got some things that'll help you take your business past anything that you could even think. I'm not kidding you. You may be a business and you may be saying, I'm stuck. I've come this far, but now for some reason in my business, I'm stuck. What is it? Well, we may have the answer for you, but you won't know until you talk to us and let us show you how to take your business, like I said, to the next level. If you want to start a business or thinking of something you can do to make extra money, we can help you with that too. Join us.
Insurance is like, well, insurance. You hope you don't need it, but if and when disaster strikes, you will be happy to have it on hand. Whether for everyday medical expenses or emergencies, you want to be sure you have the right coverage. Enter U.S. Health Group. With flexible choices and options, our health coverage will keep you ready for anything. We offer solutions through our insurance companies which can't be found anywhere else. Our 3,000-plus agents will help you pick the best plan to best meet your needs, including medical, dental, vision, accident, and life insurance coverage. Our agents can assist you online, over the phone, or in person to make selecting coverage as easy as possible. If you'd like to know more, here's how it works. Our insurance companies offer you the ability to buy more coverage if and when you need it. This means you can pay for less coverage under your base plan and feel safe and secure knowing you have the right coverage for any significant medical needs you may have later. With U.S. Health Group, you have options, like upgrading your coverage even at the time of a claim. That's right, more coverage when you choose it. In other words, why pay for coverage before you need it? We are proud to offer you fair rates and no surprises. You can lock in...
Welcome back to the show. So we're gonna play a little game first. So we wrote uncompleted stories, and it's kind of gonna be like Mad Libs, right? But instead of filling in the words, we fill in the story. Okay, so there's a couple of papers in here, and pick it out.
So then he took the taco and we just create a story after this.
Yeah.
It has to be interesting, obviously, right?
Yeah. Can't keep the people bored.
So then he took the taco and looked inside to realize that he had ordered a choco taco, which is made out of grasshoppers.
Ew, that's real?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Chapoins, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Oaxaca thing.
Ew.
But if you go to that restaurant, Milita, Oaxaca, you can order a grasshopper taco.
Is it around Dallas?
It's an Oak Cliff.
It's
It's
an
right
Oak
off of Fort Worth Avenue in front of Home Depot.
Okay, one more. Choosing the next one. But make it funny.
Climate change. Let me see. Funny? Let me see. Climate change made.
So the thing says climate change made.
the.
And I have to fill it in.
Let me see. Climate change made all the men sterile and nobody can have babies now. Is that not funny?
I don't know.
I thought it was funny.
Okay. So,
That just goes to show you my sense of humor.
so I guess this kind of gives us a little bit of, insight on how it is to create a story, because it starts with like an idea and then it just expands into something bigger. And so I wanted you to get more into that, like the levels that you go through, and then like I guess the highest level that you can reach that'll help other people get started.
Oh, definitely. I mean, everyone has a different process, but you kind of want to have a process, period. You want to have a way of creating, regardless of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Me in particular, like I explained earlier, what I tend to do first, I tend to get an idea in my head of what I want to write about.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let that kind of bubble up within my head, and then the next level would be kind of writing down ideas on paper. Sometimes it's characters, sometimes it's events, plot twists, endings, beginnings. Once I got enough of those ideas written down, then I start to do the actual outline. So the outline, I'll write it freehand on a legal pad, or on a notebook, but I like to write it out by hand for some reason. I couldn't tell you why, I just like it.
I think there's a science behind that, though. I don't
In the
really
sense
know
of-
what it is. Because I know, like, when you write things down, you tend to remember them more, and it also, I guess, like, the motor skills, it helps, like, with your thinking.
Yeah, I've heard about the memory part, but
Mhm.
honestly, it doesn't feel like it helps me at all, because I'm always having to go back and reread the stuff that I wrote.
Mhm.
But once I get the outline done, and what I mean by outline, I literally just mean, like for instance, the one I'm writing right now is like, okay, well, it shows comparisons of them waking up. They meet up at a funeral. They introduce the other characters. And it's just like a step-by-step of if I were to tell the story, what I would say. Not really detail by detail.
Okay.
So once I get that outline done,
Mhm.
I put it away. I'll put it away for maybe like a week or two. And then that's kind of why I like to keep different things that I work on. I don't want to say I don't ever stop writing, but I don't ever want to not have something to write about.
Mhm.
Like when I want to write, I don't ever want to have to figure out what I'm writing about. I just want to have to figure out what I have to pick out of all these things that I'm working on. So when I put that away, I work on another something else that I'm writing, whether it's rewriting, whether it's creating another outline, whether it's just reading something that I wrote. And then once I'm done, I get the outline back after I refresh my my mind, and then I freshen up my mind, and I just kind of read it, and then start to add little notes, start to add little details,
Mhm.
stuff that kind of helps put the story together a little bit better. And then once I have that done, then I write it out. Then I actually type it up, and I'll get on on Word, and I actually type up the script, the chapter, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And then from there, it just kind of, depending on what it is, if it's a script, I kind of just try to read it and tweak it to the point where it's interesting.
Mhm.
The pacing is on point, meaning that it's not too slow, not too fast, and it makes sense. at the beginning, middle, and end, kind of correlate with one another, and they all come to a reasonable ending, at least in my perspective.
Okay.
When it's like a book, what I try to do is I just kind of try to build it chapter by chapter, or if I have the stories already kind of written out, if it's a collection of short stories, and I just kind of try to piece them together and see what fits together and what doesn't, because I don't ever like to force it. And then once I have like for instance, the book that I have right now, once I have the written project done, then I start thinking about the artwork. You want to be creative. You want to think about your packaging. You want to be your whole business. Your whole advertising, your whole marketing. Because well, one, you probably don't have the money to pay someone to do it, so you probably have to do it yourself, and you want to do a pretty good job at it because it is your product. So you want to think about all that stuff too, because at the end of the day, you want to make money by selling your service or selling your product, and you want to make your product or your service worth something, or at least look like it's worth something. So when someone gives you money for it, they feel like there's an exchange being made instead of them just helping you out just because you're doing whatever it is you're doing.
And I also want to talk about that. WOAW Media, we actually do publishing and production. So for those people who are like actually at this level that you're at, we can easily just go on the website, and then we offer a lot of services. So maybe that's something you could be interested in, because you wanna plug yourself in with other people, and that's another thing with collaborating. Because when you collaborate, like us right now, you get this, like you put each other on to things that you wouldn't normally do, because we're in our own bubble. And so because we know what we like, then we get to collaborate with other people and just kind of see like where we can help each other out. So I think that's something else that's very important, is collaborating with others, with other creatives too, and also professionals, because you need professional people too when your mind is kind of like spazzing out. So then you're talking about the artwork, and then after that, what's next?
Well, once I get the artwork, because I don't know, I feel like when you want to do something, it's not something you just want to do, it's something you've always wanted to do. So a lot of the things that, specifically this book that I finished, I didn't have to think about it much. I already kind of knew what I wanted to do. I don't even know how I came up with the cover, but I just knew that was what the cover was going to be, and I knew what the back of the cover was going to be, and I knew what type of artwork I wanted inside. So once you have your product, packaged and ready to go to a publisher. You go to someone that's going to help put it out there. Me, for instance, my first route that I went, or that I'm going, is Amazon. Only because when I look up online, online has a lot of, the internet has a lot of vital information for you. So one of the things I did was I decided to look on my own. I didn't wait for anyone to come to me. I didn't wait for a publisher to come to me. I didn't go to a publisher. I just looked up, what is a publisher, what a publisher does, which is the best way to publish a book. And it's just different routes. And the route that I like right now is the Amazon. You get a lot of creative control over what gets done and what doesn't get done right there. But the point being is that I went out on my own to try to figure that out. I didn't wait for that, for the opportunity to come to me. I went out and I took it.
Yeah, it's good advice. Is just to do it. Go out and do it, because nobody is gonna do it for you. Like, it doesn't work that way. If you are actually wanting to do something, then you actually have to go do it. And that's just, there's no shortcuts.
Yeah, there's no substitute for the hard work. Like you said, no one's gonna do it for you. Some people will do it for you, but what I tell people is no one's gonna do it the way you're gonna do it. No one's gonna care as much about your product as you're gonna care about your product, because not everyone, or not anyone besides you, put that time, that energy, that pain, that pleasure into that product, whatever it is, or that service. Only you did that, so only you really can tell yourself what that worth is.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that we're wrapping it up. And is there anything else you want people out there to know about, writing, or just advice in general?
My biggest advice, and I guess what I try to tell everyone, is just that don't be scared. At the end of the day, failure is part of life. You won't fail if you don't try, but you won't succeed. So succeed isn't guaranteed, but neither is failure. But I can guarantee you won't do either if you don't try.
Yeah. So you only fail if you don't try.
Pretty much.
So thank you for watching this episode. We're filming every first and third Friday of the month, so tune in. And let's see who else we have that's inspiring on the show. So I want to thank you for being my guest, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah. Bye.